Seyivele ibumbene insimbi yesithupha kumsakato yeSwatini TV anguvusele ngwalimuhle lolu hlelo Kusile breakfast show lolethelwa ngisosibuko semaswati. Ungilesihlanu ngiyethemba nje ukuthi uphilile kanti ke futhi liviki lakho libe ngilelo lelihle lami libito ngenothi lesithole ngiyathokoza ngwalimuhle ukuthi ngikwamukele lihlelo namhle ekseni. Kuleli viki kunyenti ke lesikubonile lokwendeka libe kwendeka eveni laseSwatini kufaka ekhathi umbukiso lomkhulu the 57th edition of the Eswatini International Trade Fair lapho khona sibone bosomabhizinisi ngekuhlukana kwabo labancane nalabakhulu lababuya kuleli nalabo labachamba ngaphandle kwakuleli bakhangisa imikhiqizo yabo leyahlukene kanti ke siphindze sabona nekuphetha kwemsebenzi webutimba lowagcina kubanja ngeminyaka wa 2019 kwathi ke kusenjalo khona kuleli viki saphindze sabona nekucala kwemkhosi wemhlanga lapho khona elangeni namhlanje utabe ungena elangeni lesine kanti ke kungilesihlanu sibheke ukuthi tivakashi titheleke kuleli kutawuthokotela noma ke kutawuthokotela wona umkhosi wemhlanga lapho khona imbali kubheke ukuthi isikise embi kwamakhosi ngelanga lamhlaka 8 sesibuya kuyo ehleleni ke ngwalimuhle namuhla I can say we are running it differently le namhla ndabe ngikhulumisana nebamfla ababili labachamuka ibamfla abasha lababili labachamuka esifundzeni saseshiselweni batayi banembuthano ke mhla ka12 bakhulumisa tihloko letahlukene letithinta yena umumfu lomusha kufaka ekhathi tenkolo kufaka ekhathi tepholi kanye ke netemabhizinisi leyo ke conversation bukeli longayigatsa nga 6:30 kwamanje sasekubuka nati tihloko lesivuka nato emaphephandzabeni namhla ekseni. Looking at the Eswatini Observer front page this morning, thousands of Imbali cat reed at Mpese Farm. Thousands of Imbali on the images they are carrying their reed back to the campsite at Mpese Farm in Mafuteni. They were commissioned by His Majesty King Mswati III on Wednesday at Ngabezweni Royal Residence, and we expect them to return to Lutitsini today. In another headlining story, schools reopening shifted. This comes after an announcement by the Minister of Education and Training, Honorable Owen, who says a new date applies to schools across the board. He also says OVC FPE grants payments will begin next week. And on the back of the Eswatini Observer this morning, we're going to take a look at sports, where is that headlining in one headlining story, 240,000 Emalangeni awaits champions. This is after the launch of the King's Golf Cup, where pre-qualifiers actually begin today. So this is the 2025 edition of the King's Golf Cup. In another headlining story, Bull returned to Pietermaritzburg. After a disappointing early exit from the 8-bet Trade Fair Cup, Babane Highlanders returned to Pietermaritzburg, South Africa to sharpen their preparations ahead of the MTN Premier League kickoff. All set for 8-bet Trade Fair Cup semi-finals today. The 8-bet Trade Fair Cup has already provided drama upsets and unforgettable moments. In another story, Stingers plead for support. Eswatini United have issued a heartfelt plea for support, inviting fans, businesses or organizations, and even potential directors to rally behind the club as it continues its journey in to top flight football. And on the Eswatini Daily News front page this morning, King praised for improvements in Umhlanga ceremony. Newly appointed Imvuna Yembali, Bongiwe Vivani Hlatshwayo, has expressed gratitude to His Majesty King Mswati III for significant improvements to the annual Umhlanga Reed dance. And also in another headlining story there, Palazzo Hospitality moves closer to managing ICC and fish. That's a story you can find on page 2 of the Eswatini Daily News. And when it comes to sports, in the back end of that publication, King's Golf Cup again is making headlines as it makes a comeback with a bang. And the champion of the prestigious golf tournament will take home 240,000 in between September 10th to the 14th of 2025 at Eswatini Golf Club. And in another story on page 10, or 19 rather, South African government allocate 82 million emalangeni for VAR rollout. In another headline, Siboza to be buried in South Africa. Right, those are just some of the stories we're waking up to on the Eswatini Observer and the Eswatini Daily News this morning. This is Kusile Show. We're back with our Eswatini Bulletin immediately after this.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.za.
Ngiphinze kwamukela ngolmihle nadi tindzaba tecala lisuku imbali leseyincane igece umhlanga esithini kaBhamsakhe njengokuthunywa ngemakhosi ibutho liphumele emphakathi waseliyengweni lapho belingenise khona lashuqa late langena esithini liholwa inkosatana yalo mfana Nkosi Lomabheka.
Ibutho lakaBhamsakhe liphumele emphakathi eliyengweni phasi kwababeshifu lembelele lapho belingenise khona ngemva kokukhokhwa ingwenyama isigodlweni engabezweni ngalesithathu kusihlwa. Umshuqo waleli butho lembali leseyincane uqale khona emphakathi. Lingenele indlela lashuqa lalibhekisa esidzidzini kaBhamsakhe lapho beligeca khona iholwa ke ngemakhosatana umfana Nkosi Lomabheka, umfana Nkosi Nzandveni nemfana Nkosi Nolikhwa. Kuzadelibutho kwalenda kuthi lishuqe nakalula kube sipho zeticatfulo tekushuqa netikepha lekusipho lesibuye emakhosini. Bekubonakala ukuthi bese liwulambele umkhosi wemhlanga libutho njengobe uyaye ube lithuba lokuthi imbali ichakaze ikhombise emthombi bayo. Indlela ephethele khona isidzidzini kwekhuteke lwandle ingonyama yabusisa ukuthi sale kuqala kugeca. Inkundla ivulwe inkosatana elibutho umfana Nkosi Lomabheka kulandzela nenkosatana Nzandveni nenkosatana Nolikhwa.
Imamba lamne bengete ngambita msoti bengambita ngaphimbithwane. Mbondonge sengimile ngomeni ngabenjeni bese sabanye emsakandaba. Ungangezwe.
Ngemva kwalokho libutho lonkana ngebuningi balo linikele ngekhathi esidzini. Imbali-ke iyaye ilwele kubuya nemhlanga lokhethekile nalongasebenziseka uma kwakhiwa emaguma. Lokube kuhle kube kubona imbali lephila nekukhubateka iba yingcenye yemshuqo nako kugeca. Empeleni yesidzini bekade kuneliphini landvunankulu imbungathu Kusile Dladla kutawesekela yona imbali lephila nekukhubateka. Inkosatana yelibutho lakabhamsakhe umvane Nkosi Lomabheka yende umsebenzi loncomekako yalikhutsata nelibutho ngendlela ukuthi lifake emandla. Inkosatana-ke netisekile ngendlela lobambeke ngayo umsebenzi wemakhosi kanti iphawule nangekukhetheka komkhosi wemhlanga walonyaka.
Sishuce kahle bonkhosi, sathi nanasishuca sagidza, sathi nanasifika lana sagidza kancane, saseke sesida kutogeca lo mhlanga nayo nembali sihlanganisa lo mhlanga lungela ukuthi sale sitohamba bonkhosi.
Ngabe lisiko lemhlanga libaluleke kanganani Nkosi?
Isiko lemhlanga bonkhosi libalulekile ngoba lisifundisa ukutiphatha kahle nenhlonipho. Phindze lo mhlanga lona uspecial because bekasemva kwebutimba nekuthi ingonyama ishito ukuthi site kutogeca lana umhlanga bese-ke sesiyabuyela sesiyakuyodla inyamatane labasitengele yona. Bayethe wena phakathi.
Kubheke ukuthi libutho lingenele indlela lebheke khona esigodlweni elithizini la khona litawubuya nawo umhlanga ngalesihlanu. Litawugoba emadvolo ngemgcibelo lilahle umhlanga ngelisondo kanti ngemsombuluko tivete emhlaba titawuphelela khona esigodlweni elithizini ngelilanga lelikhulu lemkhosi wemhlanga walonyaka. Lebika kwethu indzabeni ngisandile Makhanya eLuyengo.
Inkosatana yelibutho lembali lizinyano mfaninkosi Sakhizwe lithi likhona lithemba lekulomvoloteka nekugcineka kwelisiko lemhlanga uma imbali iphuma ngebuningi lobungaka uma ingonyama seyilibitile. Inkosatana ithi umgcumo welibutho uba ngulosetulu yonke iminyaka. Inkosatana yekusho lokhu ngesikhathi libutho lembali lekhulile liye kuyogeca umhlanga esithini eMpeace Farm.
Kubeni ingonyama ikhokhe i-order lethi libutho lembali lekhulile alibhekise emabombo eMpeace Farm. Libutho oluvele lanikela ngemandla lalandzela i-order lebuya enkosini. Liholwa ngemakhosatana esilo. Libutho likhombise inshisekelo nenjabulo ngesikhathi liphuma lithatha indlela lebheka esidzini. Ngendlela lisasasa belikade lingilelisetulu ebuthweni futhi abelikade linemandla njengoba belihlabelela kukhombisa inshisekelo yalo yekonto lithunywe kona kwadise ukuthi bese vele liwubukeka ngelabovu lona mkhosi. Nalifika libutho esidzini lifike kwashaya ingoma kucala ngaphambi kokuthi licale kugeca. Inkosatana yembali lizinyane umfanenkosi Sakhizwe libese-ke livula inkhundla ngekucala kugeca. Kubese kulandzela liphovela. Emakhosatana isilo abese ayalandzela ageca wona umhlanga njengoba kulandzele inkosatana Nkosi Yenzile. Kwase kugeca inkosatana Sibusezweni. Omunye lolandzele kube inkosatana Makhosothando. Inkhundla-ke emakhosataneni ivalwe inkosatana Buhle Bedive. Kwatise ukuthi libutho selinendvuna lensha leseyibusiswe ingonyama kubese kulandzela indvuna yalo libutho. Indvuna yelibutho lembali bese ikhokha ne-order leshoko ukuthi libutho lonke asale linikela esitsitsini. Libutho libe selinikela ngemandla esitsitsini selenza umsebenzi lelithunywe wona ngemakhosi. Sikhulumisene nenkosatana Lizinyane Sakhizwe elivete ukuthi umgcumo welibutho ukhombise inshisekelo yalo yekugcina nekulondoloda leli lisiko lemhlanga.
Siyajabula kakhulu kubona libutho lelingaka lembali lisabele ingwenyama nayisibita kulomkhosi. Siyajabulisa kubona ukuthi nje singemaswati siyadichenya ngebuve bethu nekuthi imbali ichubeke itiphathe kahle. Kuyasijabulisa kubona ukuthi nayo imbali itigcinile yenda lokhu lekufanele. Siyajabula nekuthi ngeminyaka neminyaka lelibutho liyachubeka liyakhula nekuthi nalamanye emave etekuta tawusingatha nathi imvo lenhle leyo nabo kuyabakhuthata ukuthi bachubeke babambe amasiko abo njengoba senda nathi.
Indvuna yembali ithe inelethemba lokusebenzisana kahle nalo libutho bachubeke nekugcina nekulondoloda leli lisiko.
Angibonge emsakati lengakusho ukuthi bethe wena waphakathi ngikudalwandle ngwenyameni umsebenzi welive leseyinike wona. Ngithembe ukuthi imbali sitawubambisana ukuthi amasiko ahambe kahle. Lokunye emsakati konke ukuthi njengoba sibona libutho lingangelwandle lemgcumo bonkosi muningi ukuthi libutho likujabulele. Uyabona ukuthi lendlela leliningi ngayo uyabona ukuthi emaswati amasiko awo asawalandzela futhi asawathandza nekokuthi asawagcinile ngozi. Yabo.
Libeseke libutho libuyela emva lapho ligobe khona emadvolo seliyawuphumula kodwa litawuvuka libuyele emva esigodlweni elitsitsini linemandla ngalesihlanu. Etintsabeni kubika Pholile Maziya Anathabiso Dlamini MBC Farm.
Ingwenyama seyibusise ukuthi kubanjwe ukhetho lokuvala tikhala esigabeni sebuchopho emiphakathini lemibili lokungumphakathi wasemacudulini nasempumakuthe lokukuvetwe ngosihlalo welibandla letelukhetho nemingcele yetinkundla umfalenkosi Mhlaplangene emhlanganweni nebetindzaba ngalesine.
Kulandzela ukuthi kuvuleke tikhala esigabeni sebuchopho lobubili ngalolukhetho leminyaka wa-2023 kulandzela ukuthi ibuchopho emphakathi wasempumakuthe ngaphansi kwenkundla yasesiphofaneni anyamalale kwase kuthi ibuchopho emphakathi wasemacudulini ngaphansi kwenkundla yaseNgwembisi ashone. Libandla letelukhetho nemingcele yetinkundla ngikuthunywa nguye ingwenyama Silo inkosi Mswati wesithafu selimemetele ukuthi leli bandla tawubanza lona lukhetho lekuvala tona tikhala by elections ngayo mhla tingemashumi kwenyanga ya November.
Letindzawo ke letitsinzekako letitawu lapho sitawukwenda khona lolukhetho by election kusesigabeni sabuchopho wasemacudulini mphakathi emacudulini aphasi kwenkundla iNgwembisi yona ke inkundla lesesifundzeni sakaManzini ngiyindzawo yokuqala lena yokugcwalisa sigaba sabuchopho bese leyesibili lesitogcwalisa buchopho kiyo kuphase emphakathi wempumakuthe lesesiphofaneni enkundleni le kuphansi kwesifundza selibombo mayelana ke naloku wenda lomsebenzi lona njengoba sesigunyatwe makhosi nemthetho sisekelo silibandla lelikhetho nemingcele kunetigaba letitawu lesitimemetelako ukuthi titawukwendeka. Sokucala sigaba selibhaliso i-voter registration process le yona ihlelelwe ukuthi ibe icale mhla ka-19 kuya kumhla ka-28 kuSeptember kiwo wona lomnyaka le libandla liyawancusa emaswati egameni lemakhosi ukuthi baphume ngetinkani uyowenda lo msebenzi lona bayethe wena waphathi nongasentaba
Umfana Nkosi Mhlabhlangene uphinzwe wafulela bona betindzaba ukuthi isikhathi sekucala kona kuvota ngaye mhla ka-22 November ngiyo insimbi yesikhombisa ekseni kude kube insimbi yesikhombisa nzambama. Umfana Nkosi Mhlabhlangene ke uphinzwe wafulela bona betindzaba ukuthi sivele besingakahlanganisa umnyaka lelishumi nesiphohlongo kulolu khetho leliphelele eminyaka wa 2023 lezi sewuhlanganisile lo mnyaka sesingakhona ukubhalisa sibe ingcenye yalolu khetho. Lo bikako nguSamkalisiwe Khosana Sikhumbuzo Dlamini enganini.
Tikolo eveni setitawuvula mhla tilishumi nesithupha kulesetulo kude imbali ithole lithuba lelanini lekungenela umkhosi wemhlanga lokuvakele ngemvula yetemfumvu umhlonishwa onqumalo emhlanganweni betindzaba emahhovisini alelitiko eMbabane.
Kuvula kwetikolwa sesiyakuhlehlisa siyathi ukuthi tikolwa betivulwa mhla ka9 nyalo ke zetikolwa setitawuvulwa mhla ka16 September. Lokho sikwenta ngekuthi kunemsebenzi welive lo sachubeka sibona ke ukuthi lo msebenzi welive ungaphathamiseki tikolwa ke tivule mhla ka16 sitawubamukela ke bantwana nasebabuya mhla ka16 sibafisele nesuku loluhle nokusebenza lokuhle isachubeka ithemu.
Mapalane lomkhulu kulelitiko Nanikhi Mnisi uchazile ukuthi indzaba yekubhadalwa kwemali yebantfwana bendlunkulu ihamba njani.
Indzaba yema offices nayo it's already ongoing the process. Nasihlola lihhovisi laka DPMO idolo minister basinike isiqiniseko sekuthi bayaloda.
Indzaba yekudla ngulenye litiko leyisebentako. Kudla etikolweni letincane kutawumikiswa inkampani yakwaSwazi Milling bese kuthi etikolweni letiphakeme kumikiswe yiSouthern Trading. Konke lokhu kutawendeka nasekuvulwe tikolwa kute kudla kungalahleki. Kubika Sethabile Mamba eMbabane.
Ikhuluma nakuvula lo mhlangano imvuna yelitiko letekulima umhlonishwa amandla Chauka ithi itakumisa ukuthengiswa kwe-Master 900 le kungiyo le bayisebenzisa kakhulu kulamalanga ukutibulala.
Bayidlala i-Master 900 in this country and this is part of the process of getting there. We are at a stage whereby we're doing stakeholder engagement, consultations, so that we are all prepared and we move together towards this ideal. But we cannot sit and wait when the country is being decimated. We believe that we have to act and act now. Siltiko ke la agriculture sitimisele lokuthi vele lo msebenzi lona suwende ngesibinzi nangekuconza ekutheni sifuna kwakha live sifuna kuphephisa eMaswati. Kungako sithi ekugcineni kwako konke impilo yeLiswati ngalinye imcoka kuciza impilo kubita ukuthi sende noma ngabe yini siyayenda uze eMaswati angafiki lapho khona afaka lula ngokuthi asebenzisa imithi kumbe lebojuba jeqe.
Osomabhizinisi labathengisa tintfo tekulima bavete tinsayela babhekana nato etindzabeni tabo Master 900.
Le permit lokufuna le farmer ithenge ngayo kutawufika vele efama ithenge, but because of lesimo lesikhona la ngaphandle semisebenzi and stuff ukhanga ukuthi lama farmers nawo bese abona indlela because wena avumelekile asithi unayo yena le permit nakabifika le emaphandleni emakhaya utobona ukuthi oh I can make money ngale mvo le angisiyena uyakhona kuyithenga bese ke soyithengisa to anyone yena ngoba udele lokutamvimbela ukuthi angathengiseli no anybody.
Ngakutemidlalo abesihlanu eMaswati lathole imidlalo elangeni lesibili lemidlalo yokubhukusha leyathiwa ukuthi ngema-Zone 4 Championships lebanjelwe esikoleni senjabuleni kaManzini. Le midlalo itochubekela elangeni lesithathu lomuhla.
Ngemuva kokuthi ivulwe ngalokusemthethweni ke iAfrica Aquatics Zone 4 Championships lapha eSwatini elangeni layitolo ingene elangeni layo lesibili ke lemidlalo lapha esikolweni enjabulweni lapho khona emehlo onke bekathe njo kutoke inhlambu temaswati ke lethiwa ikhathi bona bosimanga Dlamini nabo Haley Ho nabo Luka Fraser kubala labambalwa kodwa ke lesikubonile ukuthi elangeni lesibili la kuqale khona kuqale isigaba sabo 800 meters libanga lelidze ke lelo layo imidlalo yekubhukusha lapho khona sibone labanye ke labafaya ikhathi nabo ke bosimanga wakadlamini acuthelane naye Demand de Souza wakhona lapha ekhaya bese ke lithatha likhefu ke lemidlalo lapho khona sibona kuchubeka imidlalo yeMarilay kodwa ke ngaphambi kokuthi kuchubeke yona imidlalo yeMarilay sibona isigaba lecishe sithokotelwa abamvu labanyenti sigaba se50 meters kodwa ke sigaba se50 meters njengoba ienjabulweni isigaba lesi25 meters lokusho ukuthi bahamba kabili babuye bawine sigaba ke leso lesibonile cishe netinhlambi talapha ekhaya sibona ukuthi tiyakhona kuvelela kodwa ke nasibuka ke mhlambe ngato timendlela elangeni lesibili sibonile inhlambi yalapha ekhaya Haley Ho ithola imedal elangeni lesibili kanti ke sibonile futhi nakuma hits njengoba ema hits sigaba lesindvulela mhlambe wona ke emancamo sibona kanti ke yena mengameli wayo inhlangano lemidlalo yokubhukusha lapha eveni Pedro Nunes usovele ulapha eceleni kwaMatavela sichazele ukuthi ingabe ihambe kanjani lemidlalo elangeni lesibili njengoba sibonile letinye tetinhlambi talapha ekhaya titfola timendlela labafaya ikhathi bo Haley Ho President ingabe elangeni lesibili imidlalo wena ngekubuka kwakho lizinga libenjani ihambe kanjani
no lingetekile lizinga namuhla la kulomdlali ngeteke kakhulu nathi sijabulile as live because ama medals angetekile for le live la kaNgwane but in all isibuka le ndlela le ma performances beyangayo for all countries nabo bayajabula ukuthi bakhona la kaNgwane everyone seems to be happy we're hoping ukuthi day 3 na day 4 kuyaqhubeka kanjalo so it's looking good sibongile nje nathi ukuthi i-support i-local support ibe yiningi namuhla emaswimers performile very good for Eswatini.
Siyabonga President wayo iSwimming Association lapha eveni Pedro Nunes njoba usho ukuthi elangeni lekusasa uyethemba ukuthi timendlela titawungeteka talapha eveni lapho khona sigadzile njoba sibonile ukuthi bosimanga bendlulele esigabeni semancamo lobekele umsakade eSwatini TV temidlalo ngilinda Dlamini naphathizo Msibi na Fabrice Msonera sisenjabulweni kaManzini.
Ikhulile imali kwesekelwe ngayo umqhudelwano welgaluva Kings Golf Tournament yalo nyaka. Le mali ikhule kusuka ku 166,000 emalangeni yaya ku 240,000 emalangeni. Le mali minyetele imvuna yete kuvakasha umhlonishwa Janice Melane ngesikhathi yethula ngalokusemthethweni lomqhudelwano ehotela le Hilton eMbabane. Ngolumhlelo esikhathi manje sithatha likhefu nasibuya sichubeka nalo hlelo.
Management and staff of Eswatini Anti-Corruption Commission join His Majesty King Mswati III, Indlovukazi, and the Eswatini nation in celebrating Eswatini's independence anniversary. Long live the Swati nation.
Welcome back to the program. This morning we are turning the spotlight on young people from the Kusile region who are making waves in the faith community. These young adults have an upcoming gathering of praise, unity and transformation happening this month at Nhlangano Central High School. But this is more than an event. For them, it is a movement, led by young people from the region who believe that faith can be a force for hope, change and togetherness. In studio, I am joined by two of the voices behind this initiative. They're not just part of the organizers, but they're also young leaders who carry stories, dreams and a vision for their generation. Mlamuli Smelane and Tabizo Truth Hadebe, a very good morning to you both, and thank you so much for coming to our studios. How do you feel this morning?
I'm good, sis. How are you?
You okay?
I'm okay.
You sure? Okay. I want to ask, we'll talk about the event, get into it a little bit deeper, but you're young, you've got ambitions for yourself, you've got ambitions for the people around you, but I want to start here. What defines you? What makes you confident, or what gives you the definition that you can say, because of these elements, I can say, I'm a game changer?
Okay. Thanks, sis. I believe what defines a young person, firstly, I would say, is the energy, because young people are known but doing a man. So, yes. And also, it's the creativity. Ideas are cool. And also, obviously, which is the character. I feel like it defines everyone, either young or old. Right. So for me, it's those three elements. It's the energy and the creativity and also the character.
Mlamuli, he says, Siban Flabash, right? But I was hoping the response would probably be on a personal level. So, what defines you as a young person?
It's simply knowing who I am, knowing what I want, and the integrity within me as a young person. So that drives me to do whatever that I want to do. In my mind that I'm a young person, I need to keep my integrity as I do whatever that I do as a young person.
Right, that's interesting. Now, as we do what we do, as you aspire to be, the better version of yourself, how do you balance being young, being your age, and living a faith-based life in a world listening at mhlawumbe ihambisa imbili tinkolelo noma timfundiso leti opposite asengicala ngayo Mlamuli?
Okay. Fortunately, in our country, most of us we grew up in a church setup. Sikhula nje Sunday school, wonke umuntu uya Sunday school. So uyakhula, you are being taught of this faith. So eventually, obviously, when you grow up, you start having your mindset where you need to choose. Could say, okay, I believe this is good for me, and I believe this is not good for me. So logo kuyasita lokho sikhule ngale nkolo lesikhule ngayo. So sekuyamsita umuntu lomusha ukuthi okay, I believe in this because it has been instilled in me. So even if there is something else that can come on the side, but I know this is the faith that was taught to me. So that is what keeps a young person knowing the qiniso lafundiswa lona noma latshela semaswati ligotshwa lisemani. That is when you instill something in a young person, so that as akhula ukuthi noma kungavela any other tinkolo letingavela, but I know this was instilled in me and this is the truth of the matter.
Right, but there's often that disconnect. Can I just get your perspectives on that one? We see nangta ukula, and we have certain beliefs that are instilled in us. Yes, for a majority of us sikhulele something, but to come back with malanga sesiyayebese mhlawumbe ngathi sesiyaphuma or sesiyanyomuka, for different reasons, of course, but it shouldn't stop one from actually committing to the faith, right? Why do you think let disconnect leyo ibakhona? I'll let you, Mlamuli. Perhaps we can start there and then.
Okay.
You can
Thank you. One mistake that we normally do is that someone makakhula akhulwa ngenkolo letsite sesiva ngazuthi vele, so uyakholelwa kuloko, yet ngiyakhula nje ngikhulele esontweni. But that doesn't mean I'm a Christian. Doesn't make me a Christian. So ukhanza ukuthi labanye bantu labasha mabakhula in a home setup bazama kubamba lo mthetho walakhaya as they grow up. bese ukhanze kusofika e-university so dikhanza sowukhululekile sekude lokuthi hambe esontweni sekude lokuthi ungakwendi lokuyenda lokho so like that's where the disconnect start uthi hawu sengikhululekile lana akangiboni maka akangiboni babe so they start being vast bagcwale yonke inzawo because so bangathona freedom so because thina we thought lo mntwana lo uyakhola this young person uyakhola kanti ubanjwa ngule setup yasekhaya ukuthi usaba maka usaba umfundisi then so uphume ngaphandle so that when the disconnect starts ukuthi okay vele this person akazange vele akhole from the very start but bekabambe nje line lasesontweni noma lasekhaya so bese basilahlekela ke in that way so we are disconnect because so ubona letinye izinto so vangathi man this is what I actually want lokho akusiko lebengufuna but because my parents ba instilla lokho and bangigatha ukuthi vele ngiyakwenda so bese siyalahlekelana in that way.
Do you think it affects one person as an individual? Lokuthi mhlambe bukhule in the church and then nasekufika amathuba lathide then you're kind of distant from the family. Do you think it affects how you should live your life or ema commitments emumvulo musha to the faith?
For me, I don't think it affects. I do believe lokuthi it's all about lokuthi umuntu i-character yakhe kanjani. So once we as elders labantu labadzala labasikhulisako bangasifundisa kahle sisakhula lokuthi okay my child ngiloko lelo kungathi kungakusida for your own game usosotihambela so that noma sophuma ke so maybe you're dealing with your own life so ngabe kusanje so yekubokwalusense sofunza so le character ngiyo le bese iyachubeka le phambili ke sekuba ngiyo ke le boss yakuphusha ke
but often kuya kube khona le change because angisekho etandleni tabatali. What do you think that is? Lamuli.
Yeah le change vele ngile ukuthi awusekho la ndandleni tebadala so diphethe manje obviously ngena imali in your own account obviously ukuthi lokubuta ukuthi I usually see them around Matap kanze kuthi umuntu ungena ngabo 1 ekseni nje ungena egate nga 1 ekseni vele ukuthi lo tambuta ukuthi uyaphnyala nga 1 ekseni ufike ekhabe bambuta ukuthi uyaphnyala so kunalokhu mangala ukuthi hawu sengibuya nga 1 ekseni and nobody's asking me where I'm coming from because noma ngalala lela bengiyekhona kude lo tangibuta ukuthi ulele mangibuye ekseni so ifike nje ilahleke lapho it's the freedom that comes with someone who hasn't made the right decisions makafika outside because lokho lesifundiswa khona abatali baseke basipreparation ukuthi when you grow up and when you start standing on your own try to use this concept I've given to you so lo munye bese makafika lesebecala uyakulahla because asikhulisa ngendlela letifanako lo munye ukhanza kuthi lele kwaniselwa kwimakensilwa ngakuyi mhlawumbe wanikwa le freedom vele from ekuqaleni ukuthi you can go thina sathi ukuthi uyaphuma uthi ngisaya I'm going out with my boyfriend while usafunza school and some families do that uyaphuma because so mangifika lapha sesihlukene lona wathi ukuthi you go out with a boyfriend mina ngathi ukuthi kude going out with a girlfriend but engayibona lento ngathi inhle mani imnanzi lento yalomuntu seyamlanza iboyfriend so you start going astray in that way because so ubona labanye and you are losing what was instilled in you as a young person.
And the truth is really angeke sihlale sise tandleni tebadali bethu or the people that care the most about us.
Yes.
But sisakhula we are then exposed to different things.
Yes.
One of which is social media. Tabiso, perhaps you can take this one.
Yes.
Guthi we're exposed to social media then from the content that we consume, the pressure comes in, you know, we start comparing ourselves to Mlamuli, who I see is really thriving, you know, has quite the following, is living quite the life on social media. So how do you think faith, one, as an individual, just your personal stance on faith, the faith communities can help individuals, Bamfla Basha, to find identity and just have confidence in that?
Okay. Firstly, I would say in churches, churches have to introduce certain programs on style of living, because this thing it introduced prayer prayers and Jongoba Usho. So I believe churches now if bangasebenzisana mostly nala communities and also with the government organizations and install ma programs la fundisa ngalo, because it's all about kufundisa umuntu ukuthi yathi lento loyibona lapha kona kukhona kushuthiwe, but in reality mntwana now you have to work in order for that achieve. Yabona. So I believe lokho ke kufundiseka ngokuthi install the programs. Above all, they need to be taught.
Right.
So apart from everything, okay.
Mlamuli, right now I'm going to call you the ambassador of the Kusile youth in this conversation right now.
Okay.
But how do you think expectations as society they affect mental health ne confidence yemuntu nje lomusha ayedvana nje atimele?
Okay. Yeah, the expectations of the community manenga kakhulu, and they seriously put more pressure on young people where they find themselves doing things they are not supposed to do. When you grow up, there is expectation to yafunza uqeda isikole, upass your university, uphuma university yosebenta, ushade nje impilo ihamba kanjalo, and as far as the community is expecting you to be, and ukhanze ukuthi akuhambi kanjalo.
And that's the normal standard actually.
The normal standard expectation of the community, in the sense ukuthi makhona ifamily bantwana bakhona lokhambe ngalendlela leyo ibonakala kuyifamily lephumelelako yona. So the other family abantwana bakhona basicede isikolo, abafike university, this one is pregnant, lona so uphinde so utalisile lapha. So ukhanza ukuthi labanye bantwana kuyabalimata mentally, because if angakhona lokuceda lesikole, then he or she will feel I didn't do well empilweni because the community expected me to do the things like this. Yet that's not the perception, because life is not angeke isihambele ngekufanana impilo. Lomunye angeke asicede isikole but can be a good business person, akhona ukuphila futhi yakhe imali. Lomunye ngeke azasicede isikole but une talent etandleni takhe, angabada, angashisela, and actually make it in life. So yeah, ukhanza ukuthi sekuyaba limata labanye but ikhanza ba inferior in the community because akanayo i-degree, akanayo i-diploma whatsoever, kanike angakhona to thrive empilweni without mhlambe kuba naletinto lethi, because akusitsonke lesitawufika kude, akusitsonke lesitawushada, akusitsonke lesitawuthenga imoto. So but still you are making it in life kuloko lonako wena. So labanye balimala actually balimata kakhulu bani labasha ukhanza, so ugcine vele akasabi ngilutho mba because of angathi there's nothing I can do vele empilweni because angakhona nalokuceda lesikole. Kanti there are reasons behind them, mhlambe sekude nale mali ekuceda lesikole, not that lo mntana akaphasi but nje kude le mali yalokuceda lesikole.
Thabiso, perhaps ungayilobola la kuthi often nale lama expectations akachamuki nje khashani. Yes, we have the people around us, but more than anything kunema families, and if anything within the church spectrum, I think they preach lokuthi we need to build relationships. We're building relationships in Masontweni, we're building relationships outside of church in our personal lives. But Nangsekaya, maybe there is this pressure, yokuthi they want you to take a particular degree or they want you to go a certain route. It does affect you, right?
Yes.
But while I deal with, perhaps the mental health side of it, how can I maintain relationships in the family?
Yeah, that's all. Okay. For me, into ngicabangako, I still into lengfis, and I believe in a Satan just maswati. Laban labatsala abasasibute nana sisibantu labasha sibantwana babo. I don't want to lie, because this thing is all about what is it we are good at? Apart from this degree lengfisa ngathi ungaba nayo, yini lenye lo good at? Because once lo mntwana wakho wabhoboka, is that way longakhona nawe uthi umthetho okay, but impilo kona inyalo la venika so, but ke please try and strive with okay lolo good at also focus ngiko ukuzame, but nangala sikolweni ungazineglect. Yabona, and sisikutheklisha in both ways lot. Okay, the talent ibe khona and also nangala, because bona they focus only ngala aputhosa basasibude hey uyakwatini kukhona enhloko i-talent lonayo, maybe do you know how to sing, do you know kwenta abantu tinwele, yabona. So I feel like ingaqala le bantwini labadzala kuba qedzi no.
You know, tabling certain conversations, especially Simaswati, can be mission impossible.
Yeah, mission impossible. But vele in a way, imeli iqale lapho because ivele ngiloko lobese kwenda labantu labasha mase bafika le sothola ukuthi umuntu so femvasit. So tambula sa release ingoma bamangala abantu besingamati nokuyahlabela. So ngiloko I feel like ngiyothi mina labantu labadzala ngizobacela mina.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
Ababuti abantu bathi no. What is it you are good at?
Yeah, and they give you the opportunity.
And they give you the
to
opportunity.
It's
okay. Maybe they made them an alternative. It's okay. Get degree. I could say, "Funa kubona nje une degree. Stop as safe. The mess will pursue whatsoever.
You know, in as much as they want to hear ngale degree, you also have passions, and yes. they do say ukuthi. They often consider ukuthi lokho lofuna kwenda kutakuholela malini. I think that's always the biggest question. Good, yes, you have your passion, you have the interest in this, you're good at this, but money-wise, Mlamuli, can you just perhaps, fill us in on this? Good, how can we then have that mindset change with our relatives, with our elders? Good, yes, kunalama professions that. Of course, I need to get my degree. Of course, I need to have, the education on paper. But there's this thing that I want to pursue. But probably there's a good chance it won't have as much of monetary value, but it makes me happy.
Yeah. It's been like this for the longest time. Kubantu labadzala. Bantu labadzala, the kind of professions that they expect us to be. Either ungithishela, noma ungnesi, noma ungdokotela, yabona muse. The major, we look at them as the major professions in the country. So as we grow, bona bevungaza uthi nje awana mawende kahle usuku ungunye kwalokho. Yes, baba nale pressure leyo yokuthi kuthiwe kunanesi lapha kasimelane kambe kunadokotela kunathishela. So if you come with something else beside that, then you are being kuthiwa imani unani lo mntwana lo. So sebaqala bakuthetha bakwawa say you can't do that here. You can even usaseka from 5 so vele uyachannelwa ukuthi mawuphuma nje lana wena uyonda kuthishela. So batale ke kumele bakunakisise lokho because kuyingodi because I can obtain the degree noma the diploma in teaching but then I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. Ngihamba ngiyafundisa fine ngiyahola but I'm not happy. So ubona ngale ndlela ngisebenza ngayo ukuthi ngiyadifuqa. I'm really not happy. This is not my thing. But because ekhaya ngafuqa athi ngende kona kuze ngidawukhona kungena kahulumende ngihole. So mawungekho kahulumende then it's not regarded as something less serious. So akanakusiko kanjalo. There is what we call passion. Lokubita uyilandzele. Mina nje I want to be a psychologist and I'm pushing that kakhulu more than anything else. And if ubuka ukuthi being a psychologist nala ama prove ngathi ayiloko ngathi ngikusebenzela lokho but it is my passion. Mangende kona paid or not paid I'm okay.
Right.
Because it is my passion. Right. But unfortunately bantu labadzala they don't believe in that. Utasudlana emvana.
In that response I like your advocacy for education and passion as well. But also let's talk talent. You yourself, Mlamuli, you signed up and you made it to the top 5 of the Mother of Gospel Shows talent search. And Tabiso, you're a man of many talents yourself. You're in graphic design. But now the conversation is, good team, we have the educations that we have in the country. We're dealing with an unemployment rate.
Yes.
The conversation is, let's use our talents to make money. I want to hear from your perspective, Mlamuli. 1, briefly, how did you come about discovering your talent? 2, what progress have you made when it comes to using your talent to actually just sustain you?
Okay. Yeah, it was not very hard for me to discover my talent. I grew up on a singing family. And then obviously being a praise team, growing up, and then that is when I discovered, thanks to Mother of All Gospel, talent shows. Like I ran 2 years.
Right.
So long in this again. But then I could feel like I can do this, man.
It's a big show at national level.
At national level.
That exposure, yeah.
Yeah. Then I joined. this year. Like, let me give it a try. According to me. So fortunately enough, kwahamba kahle. So that was when Kim kwagcwaliseka. Obviously, I had other places la bengisebentela khona. Take for instance, I joined a group labathi it's a charity gospel group bathi God's Elect. This T-shirt, so ngabajoyina ngasebenza nabo. So to me that was evident enough. But no, this is my talent. Let me push it. Let me work on it. So I'm working hard with other groups just to ukuqinisa leli talent alenginalo and making sure that I grow in the music industry. So it is not just Mother of All Gospel Show. It's God Elect, it's Grace Avalanche, it's another group lehlabelako nayo. So I'm also I'm networking with other gospel artists now. So I'm also a growing upcoming nakunjana vocal trainer. So that while I'm helping others. So discover this is my passion, this is my talent, then let me push it.
Right. You know, you wear a lot of hats. I think I would give that to you. Tabi, so you are a drummer, graphic designer, event organizer. How did you come about discovering all of this? I'm pretty sure there's more than this. Yeah?
Okay, for me, I once read a statement. I don't know who wrote it, but talent is something you do best, but with the least effort.
Okay.
So from there, I took it and ngabuka le tinto lengitendawo best with the less effort. So I found myself, okay, well, in drumming, it's a fun story. In drumming, I think 10 years ago, I started playing drums 10 years ago. So at my church, I think it was a midweek service, there was no drum. And I said to myself, let me just try this thing. And from there, I tried it and I played well. So I was okay, maybe this is something for me. So ngahamba ngatifundisa lapha ngaqeqesha kubo YouTube. So kwaba ngiloko ke. And then when it comes to graphic designing, it's a passion for me. Actually, it's a passion for me. It's something I do best, but with the least effort.
Doing best with the least effort. I think passion is a big word for us this morning. You guys are having an event in the Kusile region. You're bringing young people together. Mlamuli, can you perhaps just tell us a bit about that?
Okay, this is an event, the Letabi Sentlangano, Shiselwen. So me and this guy, we looked at the artist Labega Kona, Shiselwen, growing artist. And most of them would move from Shiselweni to Manzini, to push their talent. And bafike drive a con, basuke babe Manzini. So people will think he is from Manzini or he's from Babane. And actually this person is from Shiselweni, because Shiselweni has been dormant for a long time. So people thought there is nothing there. So we just thought to ourselves, no, we do have artists like Shiselweni. Why not bring them together? So that we push their talent forward, so that we may create the unity within them. So that we can host a gospel show in Hlangano, just us, without even getting an artist from outside. As we can see in our poster, show any South African artists, just local artists, and 80% of them, if not 90%, they are from Kusile. And of course, we had to consider Labatzala bethu in the music industry, the likes of Nduduzo Mate, the likes of Spiwondoni. So those guys are top there. So we had to consider them coming on our side. But also, so yeah, it was us looking at young artists, Kusile. Labanga khona ukudriver because lomnyaka khona vele kutaka Manzini. So utali balangzinza khona la Kusile nangakhona kwenda, so let us bring them together, push them forward bakhona nabo kupusha their singing talents.
This is an event in the Kusile for Kusile. What impact do you think, Tabiso, it will have in terms of unity, among youth in the Kusile region beyond the church walls?
Okay. What I think the gathering in one accord will do and I want to believe lokuthi vele sekuvele kwentekile.
You have to believe.
Yeah. It's my call. Banlabasha, I believe babandula, for lack of a better way, labatsanzi fan. Yes. So sikhathi lesithi uthola ukuthi umuntu longayisona into ba like eish ate sondweni mani kuba serious kakhulu yabona. Thola ukuthi umuntu uya thola in a church setup thola ukuthi kuhlabela kancane. So we thought let's do this thing and siba ngathini idwetshwa letidla ngakho. Yes. So ungiloko lesikubuke is okay. Let's just bring lento le labayifuna labantu labasha. So that even nabala ngakholwa ngisho kanjalo. Baba they will find space but so okay this thing is happening. Lento besolo siyikhalela. So it's like that nje gathering in one accord.
Mlamuli, his t-shirt says gathering in one accord. To you personally, this is the theme I want to believe, but what does it say to you personally and the young people of the Kusile region that are involved in this gathering?
Okay. To me it means unity. Okay. Because I believe ukuthi bantu mabahlangene bamqondo munye, they can go as far as they want to and they can do a lot of things and a lot of change. Right. So bringing them together, gathering in one accord, that is we are gathered here in one mind, in unity. We have the same vision to grow ourselves, to be better. So hence, gathering in one accord.
Okay. Can you fill us in on tickets? Where do we get tickets if there are tickets on sale? Also, how do we reach out?
Okay.
Lamuli.
Okay, we do have tickets with us. Leswathengisako nje siwaphatha ngetandla Nkosi yami. So people can get them, can get the tickets from us. Okay. We are mostly around Hlangano, right, and sometimes in Manzini, okay, as for me. So if you really want a ticket, Udaltola Game or Udaltola Truth,
please give us a number.
My number is 7681 7626 or 79200 So we also have another guy by the name of Lu T. Ukhona khona lapha enhlangano next to ESD supermarket. Yes, there's a pharmacy there. Angabathola khona futhi emathikiti. We are still trying to wafaka etindzaweni letihlukahlukene so that people can access them mabawatsinga. Okay.
Thabisa, I'd like for you to wrap it up for us. What can people expect, particularly on the night of the event, besides but what else? I heard there's a business seminar. Can you fill us in on that one?
Oh, okay. People can expect a lot of activities, but which includes the business summit, because we thought in support that maybe say so we say okay, as long as Bandlabash in this event and talk about it on how can a young person start a business, and we'll get some expertise on that subject. Baby took the good as okay, guys, for business we can do this as well. But since I'm approaching even some banks at corners, okay, go set up a business account, saving and what's not and what's lower. Right. So, but apart from all, it's all about praising God and coming together in unity as young people and young artists coming.
You know, and yes, when you talk about Kusile, this is information that young people really need, you know, to be out there and actually just be the ones to take it upon themselves to learn, not just learn, but also implement. So to both you, Mlamuli and Thabiso, thank you very much for coming in today. That was Mlamuli Smelane and Thabiso Truth Hade. They were both from the Kusile region. I like it. Sikotes Namandla was in the building. They were just telling us about an event that they are having soon, this mid-month actually, on the 16th of September. This is Kusile Breakfast Show. Stay tuned.
The commander of Umbutho Eswatini Defence Force, the Defence Force fraternity, the Principal Secretary to the Ministry of Defense and National Security, Chief Defense Officer and the support staff wish Their Majesties and the entire Eswatini nation a happy 57th independence. Halala, Kingdom of Eswatini.
The EEA Management Board, Management and Staff of Eswatini Environment Authority would like to extend our warmest wishes to His Majesty King Mswati III on the joyous occasion of the 57th Independence Anniversary. As we celebrate this milestone, we look ahead with determination to nurture a greener, cleaner, and more resilient Eswatini. Baithe wina phakathi.
Welcome back. In our English news bulletin this morning, thousands of junior maidens have cut the reed at Bamsake as mandated by Their Majesties as part of the annual reed dance. The maidens set out from Luyengweni Kraal and proceeded to the reed cutting site led by Inkosatana Princess Lomapega.
The walk by junior maidens commenced at Luyengweni Royal Kraal, where they camped after being commissioned by His Majesty the King on Wednesday evening. Thousands of maidens, led by Their Royal Highnesses Princess Lomapega, Princess Ntanveni and Princess Nolikwa, departed from the Royal Kraal with great anticipation. The maidens, inspired and encouraged by gifts from Their Majesties in the form of sneakers and T-shirts, showed visible excitement for the reed dance, a cherished tradition where they proudly display their chastity and cultural pride. Upon arrival at Bamsake, the cutting of the reed began. The honor of cutting the first reed went to the Inkosatana of Bamsake maidens, Princess Lomapega, followed by Princess Ntanveni and Princess Nolikwa. Thereafter, the rest of the maidens eagerly entered the cutting site, determined to collect strong, high-quality reed that will be used for building windbreakers. Maidens living with disabilities also participated in the cultural rite, with the Deputy Prime Minister present to offer moral support and encouragement. Princess Lomapega expressed her satisfaction with the smooth progress of both the march and the cutting of the reed, noting the special and unique character of this year's reed dance ceremony.
Sishuce kahle bonkosi sathi nana sishuca sagidza sathi nana sifika lana sagidza kancane saseke sesida togeca lomhlanga nayo nembali sihlanganisa lomhlanga lungela ukuthi sale stohamba bonkosi.
Ngabe lisiko lemhlanga libaluleke kanganani Nkosi?
Isiko lemhlanga bonkosi libalulekile ngoba lisifundisa ukuphatha kahle nenhlonipho. Phindze lo mhlanga lona uspecial because bekasemva kwebutimba nekuthi ingonyama ishito ukuthi site kutogeca lana umhlanga bese ke sesiyabuyela sesiyakuyodla inyamatane labasitengele yona. Bayethe phakathi.
The maidens joyfully expressed their pride and excitement in taking part in this year's reed dance ceremony.
Ngijabulele ukuthi ngilamhlanje ngoba i-traditional yakangwane and sonke ekhaya siyamthanda umhlanga. Yes.
Yini lo ufike uyifunze lamhlangeni?
Ngifunda ukuthi nibohloniphana nalabanye bamfana, ninakakelane nibe ngumndeni.
Igama lami nginonjabuliso ngakankambule. Ngiqhamuka kujuluka, ngiyajabula kuba semhlangeni because like yabo ngi-have fun nalabanye amantombazane nje kumnanzi ukuthi emhlangeni yabo.
Ngisiphi nje sifundo lesikhulu lofika usifunze la emhlangeni mayelana ukuthi kufuna utiphathe njani?
Ngifunda ukuthi kumele ngiphathe kahle. Ngiphindze ngisocialize nalabanye abantu. Ngibe ngumuntu nje.
Ligama lami ngiNicole ngakancomalo ngiqhamuka nelibufula kajuluka kalobamba. Emhlangeni kumnanzi enjoyile kushuca kuba nalabanye bamfo yabo. Umnanzi phindze lokunye longufundzile ukuthi ubokwati kwatana nalabanye bamfo phindze nalokuthi sihleze siphethe kahle ukuze sizoqhubeka sikhe umhlanga.
Ligama lami ngisimamile wakadlamini ngiqhamuka nelibutfola kajuluka kalobamba. Mina emhlangeni ngijabule kakhulu ukuhlanganyela nalabanye bamfana. Ngafunza ukuphatha kahle bamfana nekutiphatha kahle kutokhona kuphindze ngibuye emhlangeni.
Bekumnanzi kakhulu ukugeca, sijabule kakhulu siyimbali. Sekuningi lesikufunza uma sigeca umhlanga, sifunza ukuthi igcina nekutiphatha kahle.
The Junior maidens are expected to return with the reed to Lutsitsini royal residence on Friday. They will rest on Saturday, deliver the reed on Sunday, and the main day of the reed dance ceremony will be held on Monday. Here's a report by Sandile Makanya reporting from Luyengo.
The Inkosatana of the Imbali Regiment, Her Royal Highness Princess Sakizwe, says the huge numbers of Imbali attending the reed dance confirms the commitment of the regiment in ensuring that the Umhlanga ceremony is preserved and conserved. Her Royal Highness revealed this at Mbi's farm where all the regiment was cutting the reed.
Following His Majesty's command, which commanded the older Imbali regiment to proceed to Mpisi farm to fetch reeds, the regiment followed His Majesty's order as is. While led by their Royal Highnesses the Princesses, the Magians on Thursday went to Mpisi farm swamp to cut the reed. The Magians were still energetic even today. Along the way, they were singing and walking with pride, which was a way of showing their excitement and pride of taking part in this beautiful and historic cultural event. Upon arrival at the swamp, the Magians danced before the beginning of the cutting of the reed. Her Royal Highness Princess Sakizwe led the regiment in cutting the reed by being the first one to cut. Then the Lipovela followed. Her Royal Highness Princess Ingosi Yenzile also followed in cutting the reed. Another princess who went into the swamp was Her Royal Highness Princess Eswatini. Then the next princess was Her Royal Highness Princess Makosotando, and the last princess was Her Royal Highness Princess Buhlebedive. As the king has blessed a leader for the regiment, the Imbali leader also went into the swamp to cut the reed. Imbali leader then called upon the rest of the maidens to go into the swamp and cut the reed. He spoke to Her Royal Highness Princess Sakizwe, who said the energy amongst the regiment says it all, that they are willing to conserve and preserve this ceremony for the next generation to find it still existing.
Siyajabula kakhulu kubona libutho lelingaka lembali lisabele ingwenyama nayisibita kulomkhosi. Siyajabulisa kubona ukuthi nje singemaswati siyadichenya ngebuve bethu nekuthi imbali ichubeke itiphathe kahle. Kuyasijabulisa kubona ukuthi nayo imbali itigcinile yenda lokhu lekufanele. Siyajabula nekuthi ngeminyaka neminyaka lelibutho liyachubeka liyakhula nekuthi nalamanye emave etekuta tawusingatha nathi imvo lenhle leyo nabo kuyabakhuthaza ukuthi bachubeke babambe amasiko abo njengoba senda nathi.
The newly appointed Imbali leader says there is hope that they will work together as a regiment and ensure that they preserve and conserve culture.
Lengakusho ukuthi bethe wena waphakathi ngikudalwandle ngwenyameni umsebenzi welive leseyinike wona ngithembe ukuthi imbali sitawubambisana ukuthi amasiko ahambe kahle lokunye emsakati konke ukuthi njengoba sibona libutho lingangelwandle lemgqumo bonkosi muningi ukuthi libutho likujabulele uyabona ukuthi lendlela leliningi ngayo uyabona ukuthi emaswati amasiko awo asawalandzela futhi asawathandza nekokuthi asawagcinile ngozi yabo.
After cutting the reed, the maidens went back to where they were camping to rest so that they wake up with energy the following day, as they will be returning back to Lututini Royal residence with the reed. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Tabiso Dlamini at Mpisi Farm.
His Majesty King Mswati III has sanctioned the by-elections process for the filling of Bukopo vacancies in 2 chiefdoms. This announcement was made by the Elections and Boundaries Commission Chairman, Prince Mhlaphlangeni.
In a press meeting on Thursday morning, the Elections and Boundaries Commission Chairman, Prince Mhlaphlangeni, announced that His Majesty King Mswati III has sanctioned the by-elections process for the filling up of Bukopo vacancies in Maqutulini and Mpumagutse Umphakathi.
And then the next stage, as it relates to same, is the inspection of the voters' register, which will take place at the affected polling divisions, as enumerated earlier. From the 3rd to the 19th of October 2025. Registered voters are encouraged to actively participate in the validation of the voters' register. The next stage that follows is the nomination of candidates to run for elections, which will be conducted between the 25th and the 26th of October 2025. So it is either of the 2 dates subsequent to us having consulted with the relevant authorities. The introduction is what follows, and campaigning of the duly nominated candidates is a process and stage that follows thereafter from the 1st of November to the 20th of November 2025, wherein all duly nominated candidates and their campaign agents, Bokalajani, are expected to end their campaigning 24 hours before the poll or the polling date. Now, this brings us to the final stage, which is actually the actual polling date and day, which determines the 24-hour period backwards by which all campaigning should cease or should have ceased. And the polling day for these by-elections for the two places will be on the same day, which is the 22nd of November, 2025, at the polling stations carefully designated and communicated to the affected polling divisions.
The chairman also announced that polling stations during the polling day, which is the 22nd of November, will open from 7 a.m. to 7 in the evening. The commission also urges all eligible voters who turned 18 post the 2023 general elections to heed to the call and register for the by-elections. Reporting Samgasiwe Khoza and Sikumbuzo Dlamini, Kanini.
Minister of Education Honorable Owen Nxumalo says schools will be opened on the 16th of September as they were supposed to open on the 9th of September, which overlaps Umhlanga Reed Dance. The minister said this during a media briefing at the ministry's head offices in Babani.
Ukuvula kwetikolo sesiyakuhlehlisa. Siyathi ukuthi itikolo betivulwa mhla ka-9. Nyalo ke zetikolo setitawuvulwa mhla ka-16 September.
Nxumalo says the initial date for schools opening was on the 9th of September, but it is now shifted to the 16th due to the overlap, as most students will be at the Umhlanga Reed Dance. Principal Secretary at the Ministry of Education, Naniki Mnisi, explained the process of school fees payments for overseas.
Overseas nayo it's already ongoing the process. Naslola lihhovisi laka DPMO idolo minister basinike isiqiniseko sokuthi bayaloda.
Mnisi says overseas will be sorted out as soon as possible, as they are working with the DPM's office to process all payments. Delivering of food is amongst issues that are dealt with. Food to primary schools will be delivered by Swazi Milling, and to high schools will be delivered by Southern Trading. This process will be done as soon as schools open to avoid disappearance of food. Reporting is Etable Mamba in Babane.
53% of suicide cases in the country have been happening due to pesticides such as Master 900. Due to the rise of suicide cases, the Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with stakeholders, held a workshop on the management of highly hazardous pesticides. Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Mandla Chawuka, says the use of Master 900 will be stopped.
According to the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Mandla Chawuka, even if the ban of pesticides could disrupt the goal to sustainable product flow, the decision has to be made. Chawuka says they should get new ways that will replace the use of this kind of pesticides.
I Master 900 in this country, and this is part of the process of getting there. We're at a stage whereby we're doing stakeholder engagement, consultations, so that we are all prepared and we move together towards this ideal. But we cannot sit and wait when the country is being decimated. We believe that we have to act and act now. We cannot allow this tool that is supposed to help us protect our crops to be turned into a weapon of mass destruction, as it were.
According to psychologists Nsindiso Bembe, 53% suicide cases emanate from these pesticides.
These numbers are a true reflection, and logo collected vele from EMA reports from the statistics list. This is totally good. 80% of people that ended their lives in Eswatini are males.
Agro-businesses expressed challenges they face.
Le permit lokufuna le farmer ithenge ngayo kutawufika vele efama ithenge, but because of lesimo lesikhona la ngaphandle semisebenzi and staff, ukhanga kusilama farmers.
Zwane says concerns are that those with permits to buy Master 900 buy in bulk to sell to those who don't qualify, thus making it pointless. According to the World Health Organization, Eswatini is number 3 in having suicide cases in the whole world. Reporting is Setabile Mamba with Sondomlangeni, Manzini.
The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Apollo Mapalala, says municipalities have learned key lessons to improve service delivery, including using artificial intelligence to assist citizens effectively and efficiently at any time. The minister made these remarks during the 2025 Eswatini Sustainable Urban Development Seminar.
The 2025 Eswatini Sustainable Urban Development Seminar brought together government leaders, urban planners, and international experts to explore how digital technology can transform cities. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Apollo Mapalala, says the use of artificial intelligence to improve service delivery, saying it will allow eMaswati to be assisted effectively and efficiently anytime, anywhere.
Lobuchwepheshe kubo sebufika esigabeni vele lese kuthi akhona tingcaki lokudisotha ngoba thina siyashayisa emisebentini. Kunesikhathi sekulala, kunesikhathi sekukanzi nasiya sifika lapha emadolobha asa smart khona kuba ngama 24-hour cities nje but abe safe still. So I think le tinto leto kuyasikhanyela lokho ukuthi tinto lekufuna sithi sonzelele ngoba.
The minister noted that several cities have already begun implementing infrastructure designed to accommodate people with disabilities. The minister says that such efforts reflect a growing commitment to inclusivity, ensuring that urban environments are accessible, safe, and welcoming to all eMaswati, regardless of their physical ability. Panel discussions focused on urban resilience, digital transformation, and workforce development, with insights from experts across Eswatini, South Africa, and the United States of America. Reporting Sondomlangeni, Setabile Mamba, Ezulwini.
The University of Eswatini is rising to the challenge of addressing the national skills mismatch through a range of innovative programs. One key initiative focuses on empowering differently able students by establishing a center of excellence where they can access cutting-edge technologies essential for today's workforce and entrepreneurship. Speaking at the Science, Technology and Innovation Seminar during the trade fair aimed at boosting economic development, Vice-Chancellor Professor Justice Twala emphasized that UNESCO is actively reviewing and realigning its curriculum to better match industry needs and future job markets.
Professor Justice Twala outlines several key programs aimed at enhancing science, technology and innovation at the University of Eswatini.
We've got a big one coming, a Unipod, which is University Innovation and Podcast, where industry can send youth or who are attached to their institutions. As a university that we have been doing things traditionally, but we changed our mission. Our mission is now reading like we are to respond to national and international needs through teaching and learning, research and innovation.
Eswatini Bank Managing Director Dr. Nozizwe Mulela shares her insights on the importance of prioritizing science, technology and innovation initiatives in the country, particularly within the banking sector.
It needs intention, and that would be for us to intentionally allocate funds to these sectors that are innovative driven, intentionally allocate funds that are innovative driven, that we know that they've got that innovative STI futuristic direction.
In his remarks, FinTech Chief Executive at MTN, Eswatini, proposes strengthened collaboration amongst stakeholders to boost economic development across sectors, emphasizing the need for joint efforts to drive sustainable growth through innovation and digital transformation.
Why can't we ensure that the issues of onboarding are centralized? For instance, issues that are related to KYC. So as the bank is going out to get KYC for their customers, we are getting KYC. All the other banking institutions are doing the same thing. But this very customer, if it's a business, they have a trading license that they're actually obtaining on an annual basis.
The International Monetary Fund sees science, technology, and innovation as crucial because they are fundamental drivers of economic growth, productivity, and improved well-being by creating new industries and solutions to global challenges like climate change and pandemics. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa Manzini.
24 companies from Taiwan are showcasing at the Eswatini International Trade Fair this year. Yao Pilian from the Taiwan External Trade Development Council says the participating companies represent sectors such as technology, food and green solutions. She adds that some of them are exploring investment opportunities in Eswatini to help boost economic growth.
This year we bring 24 companies to participate in the Eswatini International Trade Fair. And we bring the latest products from Taiwan to suitable for the Eswatini industry. And also it's including like the computer, machinery, and the perfume. And the Taiwan is very famous for the food.
Some of the company leaders share more about what they are bringing into Eswatini.
This time we see in here have a big chance. So, and we bring some products to come here and maybe can help each other.
We work with Eswatini agencies for bilateral projects. And this year we are having a 5G project and e-commerce project featured. 5G is it's a project that we work with Babane City for their city area 5G smart city applications. And for the e-commerce project, it's also one of our main topic for our theme is we want to promote the e-commerce ecosystem in the country. I think we are still in the initial phase. Basically, we already have this platform set up named Eswatini 2.0. Basically, it's an improved version of the previous Buy Eswatini platform.
The government has recently signed a deal with Taiwan to establish a Taiwanese industrial park at Pokweni, an investment estimated at around 6 billion emalangeni, with the potential to create 10,000 job opportunities. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa Manzini.
In sports, the swimming national team has recorded 5 medals at the ongoing Zone 4 Africa Aquatics Regional Championships currently being hosted in Njabuleni School in Manzini. Luca Fraser, Haley Hoy and Simanga Dlamini are among the medal winners. And with that, we wrap up our English news bulletin this morning. We'll go for an ad break. After that, we're in conversation with the ENPF. Stay tuned.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.za.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna senze ukukhicita lokusembili.
Yeah. All right, welcome back to the program. You're still watching Kusile Breakfast Show. It's 32 minutes after 7. The conversation now is around the Eswatini National Provident Fund that has taken center stage in recent weeks. And it's one that goes far beyond members and policy. At the heart of it is a fundamental shift, the ENPF's much anticipated conversion into a national pension fund. Now, the move, we are told, is designed to transition workers from once-off lump sum withdrawals into a system that provides monthly pensions, a structure that is aimed at extending social security to private sector employees, seasonal as well as informal workers, and even the self-employed. But as with any reform of this magnitude, the questions have been just as loud as the promises. Some fear this will erode existing pension schemes for civil servants, while others worry about the fate of lump sum benefits or what happens to a member's contributions once they pass on. At the same time, experts warn about fiscal risks if safeguards are not watertight, while government insists this is a bold step toward poverty eradication and income security in retirement. Now, this morning, we're joined by the General Operations Manager of the ENPF, Maika Ngabinde. He's here to help us separate fact from misconception and to walk us through what this conversion really means for members, their families, as well as the broader economy of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Mr. Ngabinde, welcome to the show. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much, Mgoni, for welcoming and thank you for having us.
It's a very critical and important conversation. I think, but to premise it, it's important that we understand the reason for the conversion. Let's begin at the very core of it. Why is the ENPF moving from a provident structure to a pension structure?
Thank you very much, Mgoni. I think first and foremost, it may be necessary for one to mention that when the Provident Fund was established, the National Provident Fund was established in 1974. The intention was not necessarily to establish it as a provident fund. The intention was to establish a national pension fund. However, due to the low contributions that were existing then, it was then viewed as a starting point to establish a provident fund with a view to converting it when the contributions would be assessed and found to be at a reasonable level for the Provident Fund to then convert to a pension fund. So basically, the shortcomings of a Provident Fund is what you have correctly stated, Mngoni, that a Provident Fund pays a lump sum. And yet the main objective of establishing a retirement fund, particularly if you look at it at national level, it is meant to address the poverty that an individual who has been employed during his or her life gets to a point of retiring. The individual is no longer working now, is no longer productive, but then the needs are still there for that individual to live.
Right.
And so then the Provident Fund gives you a lump sum which you consume in a very short space of time after receiving the money. And then thereafter, you are left in destitute. So actuaries have been evaluating the Provident Fund to see if the contributions are growing enough, because these contributions, a decision was taken that they should be progressed annually up to a level where it would then be said the Provident Fund can now convert into a national pension fund. So the main reason is to address poverty at retirement for the members of the fund. The bill that is introducing the National Pension Fund, in as far as who should be covered, it talks about any person that is economically active in Eswatini. In other words, anyone that receives income in whatever form. You have those that are in the formal sector that are employed. You have those that are in the informal sector that are self-employed. You have those that are seasonal. Everyone that is economically active, even the domestic workers, because the current legislation, that is the National Provident Fund order, does not cover those. So this is meant to be a truly, truly national pension fund.
Inclusive.
Therefore, it covers even the civil servants. In other words, government is mentioned in the bill both as an oversight organ, in other words, to ensure that the fund is looked after well in order to achieve its purpose, the purpose for which it is being established. And also it mentions government as an employer, because if government were to say there is a certain sector of the economy that is going to be left out of this national institution that is meant to alleviate poverty at retirement, government would actually be contradicting herself. Because if you want it to be national, why leave others out? But then when it comes to the civil servants, it is not every civil servant that is expected to be a member of the National Pension Fund. You may ask, why not? Well, the reason is, for this conversion to take place, for this bill that we have now to be in place, there was extensive consultations that were taken place in order to ensure that everyone's view is covered, or every stakeholder. You talk of workers, they were consulted extensively. You talk of employers, because they are very key stakeholders in this initiative. They were consulted. You talk of government, because government is the driver. Government actually instructed the board at ENPF after receiving reports to the effect that it is now time, because contributions are at a level that can make the pension fund now sustainable, as opposed to what the case was when it was established in 1974, the Provident Fund. So Mnguni, for the civil servants, this is what the bill proposes. It is not every employee of government. The current employees who are members of the Government Pension Fund, the PSPF, are not expected to be members of the National Pension Fund mandatorily.
Okay.
But those can do it voluntarily. In other words, if they see that there is value in this national asset,
They have a choice to.
They have a choice to then join.
Right.
But then for those that will be employed after the enactment of the bill into law, for those, it will be compulsory for them to participate not only in the National Pension Fund. I think that has to be made clear again. They will be participating in both.
Okay.
The National Pension Fund and the Government Pension Fund,
right,
which is to them their occupational pension scheme.
Okay.
Because an occupational pension scheme is a scheme that is employer-based.
Right.
So that is what is going to happen. Now, someone may then say, it means the PSPF is now going to be expected to be paying pension for the new employees that will be members of the National Pension Fund again, at a rate that they are paying the current contributors, in other words, the current members. And the answer there is no. They will be paid based on what they have contributed.
Okay.
In other words, there is no loss that is expected to take place in as far as the PSPF is concerned. And I said to you, the reason why only the new employees after the enactment of the bill into law are expected to be members of the National Pension Fund, this was arrived at after consulting with the management of the PSPF,
okay,
to see what would be the best way, because government is saying everyone should participate. Then what would be the best way of onboarding civil servants without disturbing the sustainability of the PSPF? Then a decision was arrived at that says the contributions that the PSPF is currently receiving should not be disturbed.
Right.
Because that has implications of their budgeting, their projecting. Therefore, those contributions should not be disturbed.
And indeed, there was a lot of questions around that particular subject, and I'm happy that it is being addressed. And in fact, it was addressed proactively. And I think it's easier for us now to appreciate how all these decisions were arrived at. The consultations that were done extensively, as you articulate, with members, with the government as policymakers, as well as the PSPF itself and the employers, who are also quite key stakeholders in this whole conversion. I think that is very important, because I suppose one of the most frequently asked questions was, who exactly falls under the scope of this fund in particular? There was, will it truly extend to the private sector, the informal traders, the seasonal workers, as it were, as well as the self-employed? But I guess you've answered that question. But misconceptions have emanated, as with any development of this nature. I suppose the first one, the perception that the bill seeks to dismantle existing pension schemes, particularly for civil servants. Just clarify there whether that is indeed the intention.
You have summarized it very correctly, Mnguni, in saying the National Pension Fund is expected to cover everyone in all sectors of the economy. Now, maybe it would be very important for one to explain how the contributions that are going to be paid to the National Pension Fund are going to be calculated.
Sure.
The current structure of contributions that are paid to the Provident Fund is not going to change. How is the current structure? The current structure is such that the contributions that are paid to the that are going to be paid to the National Pension Fund are going to be calculated on a capped salary of an employee. What do we mean by capped salary? There is a certain level that is said you can calculate 10% of this employee's salary up to this level. In other words, anything above that level is not considered for purposes of calculating contributions towards the National Pension Fund. And why is it so? The reason for that, it is meant to ensure that occupational pension schemes are not disturbed by the introduction of the National Pension Scheme. I will make you an example, Nkabandle. The current level of an employee's salary, that is the maximum, it is 4,000 Malangeni. Now, when calculating contributions, therefore, if, let's say, the scheme is already in existence now, the National Pension Fund, you would calculate 10% of the 4,000. And it is that 400 Malangeni that you would then pay towards the National Pension Scheme. Let us now take an example of an employee who is earning 15,000 Malangeni, that is the basic salary. Right. Then we say we will take 400 Malangeni, being the maximum salary for calculating contributions toward the National Pension Fund, being the 4,000. Then the 400 Malangeni will go towards the National Pension Fund. Then if the individual is earning a basic salary of 15,000, it means 3,000 Malangeni was supposed to be paid to the Occupational Pension Scheme. Let us use the example that you have used because you have talked about the PSPF. Right. Then it means the 2,600 from the 3,000 after deducting the 4, exactly. The 2,600 will then be paid towards the Occupational Pension Scheme, being the PSPF. Now, I think you can see now that the major portion of the contribution goes towards the PSPF, being the Occupational Pension Scheme. And the idea of introducing the capped salary structure is meant to ensure that the Occupational Pension Scheme coexists with the National Pension Fund. So in other words, there is no way that this National Pension Fund is going to collapse the occupational pension schemes. And there is therefore a feeling that the contribution that goes to the National Pension Fund is not going to benefit the member. And again, may we clarify that the contribution that is going towards the National Pension Fund still belongs to the member. The member will be getting 2 pensions, one from the Occupational Pension Scheme and the other one from the National Pension Scheme, Mngoni. And when calculated actuarially, the benefits from the 2 schemes in aggregate do not amount to 1. Now, the one that I'm talking about is the total amount that the civil servant was going to receive had the civil servant remained with the Occupational Pension Scheme. So, in other words, it is going to be 1 plus. In other words, instead of the civil servant being made worse off by participating in the National Pension Fund, in actual effect, the member is made better off. Then you ask yourself, who wouldn't want to participate in such? And the other benefit that would then accrue would include, in the event of the member falling sick and resulting in the termination of his or her employment on grounds of sickness, the individual will receive 2 pays. even if in the event of the member passing on, the survivors are going to receive 2 pays for the funeral benefit, one from the occupational pension scheme and the other one from the national pension scheme. So if you look at that in aggregate, Nkabandle, you will agree with me that indeed the introduction of the National Pension Fund is meant to make life better for all Emaswati in Eswatini.
Suppose the burning question there, and you have explained that eloquently and succinctly, but I suppose there's still that lingering question around, the current status quo, which is, of course, currently a civil servant contributes 5% of their salary to the PSPF, right? And then the government contributes 15%. So after the conversion, will the current contributions to PSPF remain, or it will be halved?
Okay. That's a very good question, Mnguni. The contributions towards the PSPF are definitely not going to be the 20% of the basic salary. For the employees that are going to be members of both the National Pension Fund and the Occupational Pension Fund, the PSPF. But what is going to happen there, the contribution is going to be reduced by the 400, the example that I have made earlier on. So the 2,600 is the contribution that is going to then be what is going to be used to pay a benefit to the employee who is participating in both. In other words, it is going to reduce, but remember, this is not reducing contributions that the PSPF was already receiving. The PSPF is going to be receiving a new contribution at a different rate. In other words, there's not going to be any disruption in the amount of contributions that the PSPF is going to be receiving, as opposed to what was going to happen had the current members of the PSPF been made to also participate in the National Pension Fund.
I think you've answered it. But there's another misconception, or let's say perception. Members are also asking about the lump sum benefit. Is it being taken away entirely? Or is there a hybrid model in which both lump sums now and monthly pensions coexist?
Thank you. That is another very good one, Mnguni. Now, you will recall that earlier on, I did say the contributions that are calculated, that are paid to the National Pension Fund are calculated on a capped salary. In other words, they are lower than what would have been the case had they been calculated on the basic salary. What does that mean? That basically means if you were then to calculate or pay a lump sum from the National Pension Fund, that is now going to defeat the main purpose of the National Pension Fund. What is the purpose? We should not lose sight of. The main purpose is to alleviate poverty when the member retires. In other words, the member should receive a pension that will enable that member to live until the member passes on. Now, if you were then to reduce that pension that the member would otherwise be receiving by paying a lump sum, that would mean the pension now that the member is going to receive is going to be reduced and end up being meaningless. And if you look at the purpose then of the National Pension Fund, you will see that the main purpose is to alleviate abject poverty in retirement. Then you are saying, let me reduce so that the individual would enjoy a lump sum. The lump sum will be consumed within a very short space of time, but the member still have life to live. Therefore, let us keep whatever has been put under the National Pension Fund to be enough to carry the member throughout his or her life at retirement.
families, Mr. Ngabinde, and I suppose this speaks to something that you have hinted on already, that if a member passes on, what happens to their contributions? That has been a question.
Yeah.
And you have hinted on what happens there, but do spouses or dependents, because not only spouses are left when someone dies, do they remain covered in this new structure?
100% Mnguni. They remain covered. They will be receiving, the spouse will be receiving a pension, and the children will be receiving the gratuity. In other words, there will be two payments, one from the occupational pension scheme and the other one from the national pension scheme. And no reduction of the benefit is going to be experienced as a result of the member participating in both. And that is guaranteed. And may I state this? The bill also says no member should be made worse off as a result of the introduction of the National Pension Fund. What does that mean? This is where then you see the benefit being 1+, because the member should not be worse off. The member may at least be equal to what the member would have received or enjoyed, but not worse off.
The guardrails. There's a question around guardrails, speaking into the sustainability of this reform across generations. And we've had financial experts, of course, chiming in across different publications, as well as just throwing in their submissions online, because we cannot, forget that we are living in a digital age.
Sure.
Financial experts, they speak on, if not cautioned, very well, issues around ring-fenced reserves. They call it regular actuarial reviews and strict governance. They are saying that this reform could trigger fiscal vulnerabilities. You have ensured that that is not going to be the case, right?
In fact, it is the bill itself again that has very stringent controls in as far as safeguarding the sustainability of this fund. As a matter of fact, for the first 5 years, the bill requires the National Pension Fund to be actuarially evaluated on a yearly basis to ensure that it is on the right track. Remember, pensions are not going to be paid immediately after conversion. There's going to be a waiting period of 15 years because it is only members that would be 45 years and below that are going to be eligible for membership of the National Pension Fund. Sure. Therefore, during the years when members are still contributing, the scheme is going to be monitored very closely. One may also say that in terms of governance, you have government that is providing the oversight. You have the actual...
I want to ask a question there, because in terms of governance, government is providing oversight.
Right.
But there is this very important question in terms of government oversight and independence.
Right.
We do not want to be remiss about your independence, because yes, indeed, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, we've seen them, they have declared their support for this move, but political backing is one thing and independence is another. How will the fund be protected from possible government interference or short-term fiscal pressures there?
Thank you. You know, the way the governance of the National Pension Fund is, you have all the key stakeholders represented on the governing body. You have your workers. They are looking at the interests of their members. You have the employers looking at the interests of their members again. Because employers, remember, are the ones that are also contributing to this fund.
Of course.
They wouldn't want to see the money that they are contributing thrown into the doldrums. They want to see their money working as expected. In other words, you have employers guarding the fund. You have workers that are the members themselves guarding the fund. You have government. Government has a responsibility, of course, of the oversight guarding the fund. You have the actuaries evaluating the fund on a regular basis to ensure that it remains sustainable.
Kabile, thank you for your time. Very informative. And I suppose our viewers at home also appreciate this conversion. What we are left with is not just a policy conversation, but a human one at its core. This conversion speaks to dignity in retirement, to whether families are really benefiting from this conversion or protected when breadwinners are gone, and to whether workers' decades of contribution translate into real security. Mr. Ngabinde, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you for this, for the hopes, as well as, the hard questions that you've been able to answer. The success of this reform will now rest not only on the technical safeguards, but also on the trust that it earns from the members themselves. This has been Kusile Breakfast Show, the Friday edition. Go and enjoy your weekend responsibly. Bye-bye.
This August, all roads lead to the Eswatini International Trade Fair. Phoenix of Swaziland Assurance is here to protect what matters most: your motor insurance, domestic insurance, business cover, electronic equipment insurance, workman's compensation, and many more products. We've got you covered. Join us from August 29th August to 7th September. Your future is safe with Phoenix of Swaziland Assurance.
The Board of Trustees, Management and Staff of the Public Service Pensions Fund proudly join the nation in celebrating 57 years of independence, peace and progress. We congratulate His Majesty King Mswati III, the government and the people of Eswatini on this remarkable milestone. Together, let us build a resilient and prosperous Eswatini. Happy 57th Independence Day.
The Board of Directors, Management and Staff of Eswatini Post and Telecommunications Corporation joins His Majesty King Mswati III and the entire nation in celebrating the 57th independence anniversary of the Kingdom of Eswatini. We extend our heartfelt wishes for a joyous National Independence Day filled with unity, trust, and patriotic pride. Bayethe wena waphakathi, halala Eswatini.
EBIT Board of Directors, Management and Staff wish their Majesties and the entire Eswatini nation a happy 57th Independence Anniversary. Bayethe wena waphakathi.
57 years of independence, pride and promise. On this proud national occasion, the board, management and staff of Eswatini SCAF extend profound well wishes to His Majesty King Mswati III, Her Majesty the Indlovukazi and the entire nation of Eswatini. May this day remind us of our noble heritage, strengthen our unity and light the path to a brighter future. Halala Eswatini, halala.
The Board of Directors, Management and Staff of Royal Eswatini National Airways Corporation Group of Companies would like to join His Majesty King Mswati III, the Queen Mother Indlovukazi and the entire Eswatini nation in celebrating the 57th Independence Day. May the success of our nation continue to reach new heights just like our flights. Halala Kingdom of Eswatini. Bayethe wena waphakathi. As Eswatini proudly marks 57 years of independence, the Singapetelo Motor Vehicle Accident Fund Board, Management and staff join their Majesties and the nation in celebrating our journey of resilience, growth and unity. Together, we build a safer Eswatini. Happy Independence Day, Maswati Lamahle.
The Board of Directors, Management and Staff of National Maize Corporation, NMC, wish His Majesty King Mswati III, Her Majesty Ndlovukazi, and the entire Eswatini nation a happy 57th Independence Anniversary. Baethe, wena waphakathi.
The day you take Christ into your life, you begin to walk in a blessing.
Emaswati Master ushiya simakazi sibukela abanye bonkulunkulu uNkulunkulu tawukhwesha kithi emaswati singamlahli uNkulunkulu
sitomdumisa sisho sithi uyigcwele somali
mase ubutholile lobungcwele hlala ungilongcwele
ningesabi niMaswati, this is our season. Nguye idolo, nguye namuhla, nguye nakusasa.
Bukelo hlelo lesi siyakuthomisa kuyintokozo nalomhlanje kukwemukela kulolu hlelo sesiyakuthomisa ngomukela egameni lemhlengwethu lo nguJesu Kristu kuyintokozo namhla ukuthi ngwemukele nawe lapha ekhaya la khona sidabe sidla live laNkulunkulu lomhlanje ehlelweni sidabe sifunza sidabe sihlethe phasi silalela uNkulunkulu asikhumbuta ngoba ngiyathi ukuthi into estatiko lethi but nje sithi asiyadeba kancane kancane ebandleni laNkulunkulu sithi isuse ngoba kulungiselwa umphiki Kristu kulungiselwa leto tikhathi injongo lenkulu futhi yasathana ukuthi singafiki ekhaya ezulwini ngakho kobe siyasusa namhla ke inceke kaNkulunkulu lenaye itabe ikhuluma ngabandi ngathi ngimithetho noma indlela lekufanele umKristu aphile ngayo utaba akukhuluma afundisa ngaloko ukuthi silibandla laNkulunkulu kubhekekeni kithi lizulu libheke ukuthi siphile kanjani kuze sifike ekhaya ezulwini kubheke ukuthi siphile kanjani angeke ngikhulume kakhulu ngoba ngifuna ukuthi sibe naso lesikhathi ukuthi sifunze siyilalelise inceke ngonike lithuba ngeke kaNkulunkulu ngiyabonga kuba nawe namhlanje ehlelweni siyakuthumisa ukuthi ubuke ubingelele sevese eMaswati ubukelele bazalwane babukele behlele siyakuthumisa.
Amen kasibonge baba Mavimbela sibonge ukuthola lelithuba nami ngilithathe ngibingelele bese sibingelele nawe ngibingelele umbukeli ekhaya sesikhona kulolu hlelo siyakuthumisa sibonga ingosi ulivula lelithuba futhi amen ngumfundisi ke PS Shongwe ekhaya kuNgbembekati eluselibandla le New Village Assemblies of God Back to God ngiyakholwa namthanza Jesu uyingosi nemsindzisi wokuphila kwami